Welcome. You're listening to the I'm Wired to Inspire podcast, creatively engineered by Robin Nicole, the inspiration specialist. I'm Wired to Inspire is a powerfully packed 5-minute podcast filled with inspiration and encouragement to get you through your day. It's designed to inspire you to live your authentic purpose. Now stay tuned for your host, Robin Nicole, the inspiration specialist, on today's episode of I'm Wired to Inspire.
Hey everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today on my podcast. Today is the 5th and final day of the King Me series, 5 simple yet essential tips for the Christian single king. This series has been about the characteristics of a king, and I'm excited because this was the first time that I actually had other people on each episode. So each man of God, king, he was actually on giving a description of whatever the topic was for the day. And so if you have not yet, make sure you go back and you listen to all of the days prior to today, and you can get information from 4 great men of God who spoke on the characteristics of a king. Now, if you have not yet, make sure you hit the link below this podcast, and I want you to download the free ebook resource that goes with it. It's a great amount of information that can really help you on your journey, especially as a man of God. And I just want to say, any women listening, this is also just a good series to listen to because you get to hear from the horse's mouth. You get to hear from a man about what he thinks about the plight of a king. And then that teaches you as a helpmate how to pray for this man. Also, I want you to check out the hashtags for the series. It's Thrive, Cultivate, Reign. The spelling is REIGN. Hashtag King Me series, Kings with Character, and hashtag Live Your Authentic Purpose. So, with that being said, day 5 is the last day. And before I get to the topic, I promised you guys that I was going to give a quick recap of this week's conversation. And if we start with day 1, it was with Brother Sean Lyles, and it was God first in all things. And he highlighted the plight of David, which was really dope. He talked about how David was a man after God's own heart, but David was still a man. How we should not magnify a man and deify a man because we're trying to look up to them as if they're superhuman. Well, you have to be able to relate to that human experience of David because that will also make it a very real thing as you walk with God and you make him first in your life. You know, the Bible says that he should get our first fruits. So keeping God first is a part of first fruits. Putting your focus on him first and foremost is always a game changer. It sets the tone for your day. You shouldn't work out before you pray. You shouldn't read before you pray. You shouldn't do any of those things before you acknowledge God first. And that was what was important about what he said. He talked about how David really took it seriously and everything else he did came after. But prayer, connecting with the Father, keeping him first always was his way of life. So we go over to day 2. Day 2 was plan greatness, pray and work. And that was when we heard from King J. Barnett. And he began the conversation, which we really got on Wednesday, which was cultivating character. He talked about the choices that we make. The choices that we make on this journey are so important. And we have to realize that if we are going to do this thing God's way, then we have to be mindful of the choices we make. And we also have to understand that we have a choice in that matter. We are the one that can determine that decision, but we also have to step up and hold ourselves accountable. And we have to be mindful of how we're moving and what actions we're taking. But greatness is there for the taking. Which brings us to day 3, which was cultivate character, leading with integrity. And that was John Montplaisir. And he talked heavily about your moral fiber. He talked about what it takes as a man of God to really operate in integrity and really have a strong standing in your morality. And he said the thing that can show you where somebody is standing morally is their consistency. If you are encountering someone who is inconsistent and in many times consistently inconsistent, that's a red flag. All of those things are connected to your morality and what it is God is trying to take you to. And yesterday, the last king that was highlighted was Dr. Miles Monroe. And may he rest in peace. He was on the day of position yourself a prepared place. And he talked about your destination. And most importantly, with your destination, how your destiny is connected to it. So we all know that there's a prepared place and we must position ourselves on this journey. But he really went in on focusing on, what are you doing with your purpose? You'll only be able to get to the prepared place if you understand what your purpose is. And if you don't know, you are consistently seeking the Father to find out. So again, check out Monday through Thursday. There were very, very great topics. Each man of God gave great information. And that leads us to the last and final day, which I'm speaking on. And that is serve others, selfless giving. You know, there is nothing more powerful than giving selfishly. The word gentle also means kind. And a gentleman is not a gentleman until he is able to access a gentle spirit. Now, this does not in any way make you soft or unmanly. It actually makes you more attractive and balanced. Being a kind man, also known as a gentleman, with a great spirit, sets the tone for a heart of giving. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This right here is where people seem to get tripped up because they think the only way you can give is monetarily. Now, you can give in a myriad of ways that are not confined to financial giving. In fact, sometimes the best way to pour into others in need is based on wisdom, sharing mentorship, inspiration, giving them information. You know, because, for instance, if you have a heart for children, whether you would want to give children time, knowledge, and power to make them more astute in making powerful, wise, and smart decisions. But that would take you pouring into them and using selfless giving to give them the information they need to be set apart and to operate the way God has called them to. Now, serving others is also a hallmark of a great man. If you trace back in history, some of the world's greatest men had hearts of giving. Service in the Bible was often looked upon as greater than money. Even the washing of the feet was viewed as the most humbling act of giving in that time. Now, in today's world, there are many ways to exhibit that same sentiment. And as you go and grow into your vision, be an example of Christ's love for those who don't know it. And we do that by serving others with selfless giving. That is not just the trait of a king. That's also the trait of a queen. It does not matter who you are. Giving is paramount on this journey in our lives. We have to give of ourselves. We should not be operating from a selfish space all the time. Selfishness is the enemy of giving from yourself. And we are created and designed to bless other people. We are to live selflessly in this world. So with that being said, I would like to let you guys know that I really genuinely appreciate you listening. I appreciate you being here for this series. And I want you to just stay tuned. There's so many other wonderful things coming up on this podcast. The numbers are shooting up, doing well, because I really believe that God is in this every step of the way, every good thing, every bad thing. I've learned so much about myself doing this, y'all. It's so much you learn when you venture out into ministry and you begin to do things that are unique. And there is no blueprint for what you're doing. And that's what's happening in this season in my life. So I do pray for all my kings who listen that you've gotten something from it. And I pray for all my queens who have listened that you will be able to add some value to the men of God in your life, no matter what capacity. So I would like to end this series with the final quote from day 5, serve others selfless giving. And that is a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. And he says, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." I'm wired to inspire. I hope you are too.
Thanks for listening to I'm Wired to Inspire podcast at I'mWiredToInspire.com. If you enjoyed the show, spread the word and be sure to hit the 5-star rating on iTunes. For more information on this podcast and inspirational products and services, log on to the inspirationspecialist.life or I'mWiredToInspire.com. And remember to live your authentic purpose. Thanks again, and see you next time.